The late afternoon sun beats down on the practice field. A dozen boys in maroon and gold jerseys circle around a lone figure in mismatched gear. That lone figure is Jake, a slim, blind boy with his helmet tilted slightly askew. He grips a football close to his chest, knuckles white beneath his receiver's gloves. Heart pounding, he can feel the dry grass under his cleats and the weight of a dozen staring eyes on him. Someone snickers. Another mutters, "This is gonna be good." Jake's sightless eyes stare ahead through his helmet's face mask, focusing on sound and touch. Coach Miller stands on the sideline, arms crossed tightly, jaw clenched as he watches. Jake breathes out slowly, trying to steady himself. He knows this might be his only chance to prove he can do what he's dreamed of. Play football like everyone else. "All right, let's run 22 dive," the quarterback barks. Jake knows the play from memory, straight up the middle behind the left guard. He nods and, "Yes?" The center snaps the ball with a sharp crack. Jake moves on instinct and the cadence he's memorized. He extends his arms, feeling the leather smack into his open palms. The ball is in his hands, and for a split second, hope flashes through him. Suddenly, wham! A crushing impact from the side knocks the wind out of him. Jake hits the ground hard, the football jolting loose from his grasp. He gasps, lungs burning. The world is a blur of pain and muffled noise as he scrambles on hands and knees, patting the turf desperately for the lost ball he cannot see. Laughter erupts around him, sharp, cruel bursts that cut deeper than any tackle. A towering figure looms over him. Brandon, the team's star running back, who delivered the hit. "Stay down, blind boy," Brandon sneers. Jake's cheeks burn with shame under the helmet. A couple of players chuckle and slap hands, the echo of their ridicule booming in Jake's ears. He can't see their mocking grins, but he can feel them. The heat of humiliation and disappointment rises hot in his chest. Jake stumbles to his feet, knees trembling from the blow and the embarrassment. Dirt clings to his uniform and a stinging scratch on his chin drips a bead of blood. Coach Miller blows the whistle sharply, ending the play, ending this debacle. The murmurs and snickers of teammates still swirl around Jake as he stands there, chest heaving. In that moment, he hears one of them stage whisper, "What did he expect?" He's blind. A wave of despair washes over Jake. His fingers curl tightly into fists at his sides, the empty ache of failure heavy in his heart. He blinks back hot tears that threaten to spill. Around him, the field falls silent, except for the rustle of pads and a few fading laughs. Jake bites his lip hard enough to taste blood, swallowing the lump in his throat. He refuses to cry in front of them, but his confidence is shattered, left lying in the dust with the dropped football. This was supposed to be his chance to belong. Instead, it's become his worst nightmare come to life. A public humiliation. His head hangs low as he reaches out, searching the ground until his fingers brush the pigskin. He picks up the ball slowly. It feels heavier now. Coach Miller finally jogs over and places a firm hand on Jake's shoulder. "That's enough for today," the coach says quietly, voice heavy. Jake nods numbly, clutching the ball to his chest once more, this time in defeat. He hears cleats trudging off and equipment bags rustling as the other boys depart, their voices still trading jeers and disbelief. Jake stands there in the emptying field, breaths shallow. Every part of him aches, not just from the hit, but from the sting of being laughed at for daring to try. He takes a shaky breath. The humiliation is overwhelming. His dream of playing feels further away than ever. Jake stands frozen on the empty field as the last of his teammates drift away. His eyes burn, and not just from the setting sun. For a moment, he's completely alone with his disappointment. Then he hears approaching footsteps through the grass. "Hey, you all right?" a gentle voice asks. It's Nate, a fellow junior on the team who hung back while the others left. Jake hesitates, then gives a small shrug. He recognizes Nate's voice, one of the few who hadn't laughed. "That was a rough hit," Nate offers softly. Jake swallows hard. "I'm fine," he manages to say, voice unsteady. He doesn't move. Nate lingers by his side, unsure what to do. Jake's mind swirls with shame and self-doubt. Maybe they're right," he mutters, barely audible. "Maybe I don't belong out here." There's a heavy silence. Nate stops him with a hand on his shoulder. "You know that's not true," Nate says firmly. "They just don't understand how hard you're willing to work. You love this game. I've seen you listening to every play, learning the playbook by heart, and that counts for something." Jake kicks at the dirt, uncertainty clouding his face. "Coach won't even let me practice after today," he says bitterly. "Not after I made a fool of myself." Nate grips his shoulder. "Jake, you didn't fail. They failed to see your heart," he says passionately. "So you got knocked down once. Who hasn't will get you back up." Jake tilts his head toward Nate, confusion and hope mixing on his face. "Why are you doing this? Why are you helping me?" he asks quietly. "Because I know what it's like to be underestimated," Nate replies quietly. "I've had people doubt me too, and I saw how badly you want this." They reach the edge of the field near the locker room entrance. Inside, showers run and voices echo. The team is moving on, leaving Jake's dream behind. Nate lowers his voice. "What if we train together? Before or after practice? Off the record." Jake's brow furrows. "Train together?" "Yeah," Nate continues eagerly. "No one has to know. I can run drills with you, help you find ways to navigate the field safely. We'll work on ball handling, routes, whatever it takes." He gives a small laugh. "I could use the extra practice, too." A spark ignites in Jake's chest. He hadn't expected anyone to volunteer to help him after today. "You'd do that?" he asks, voice barely above a whisper. "Of course," Nate replies, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "We'll show them how wrong they are." That night, Jake sits on his bedroom floor long after midnight. The house is quiet. His mother has long since gone to bed after checking on his bruises. A dim lamp casts a weak glow as Jake runs his fingers over the laces of the football resting in his lap. Each ridge and cross-stitch is familiar terrain under his fingertips. He replays the day's humiliation, the hit, the laughter, the words, "Stay down, blind boy." His jaw tightens. He refuses to stay down, not forever. On the nightstand is a framed photo he cannot see but knows by heart. Himself at 8 years old, grinning wide without a hint of fear, holding a football almost as big as his head. Beside him, in the photo, his dad kneels with an arm around Jake's shoulders, pride all over his face. It was taken just weeks before a rare illness stole Jake's sight for good. His father's motto echoes in Jake's memory: "Never let anyone tell you what you can or can't do." A lone tear escapes down Jake's cheek, but he smiles faintly in the darkness. "I won't, Dad. I promise," he whispers into the still night. "If you believe in miracles like this one, then maybe, just maybe, you know what to do." Dawn breaks with a pale glow the next morning. While the rest of the town sleeps, Jake is already out on that familiar field with Nate. Dew clings to the grass. The cool morning air smells of fresh-cut grass. Nate guides him through warm-ups, high knees, shuffles, footwork drills. They move in silence at first, just the rhythmic scuff of shoes on turf. Jake's muscles ache, but it's a satisfying ache, proof that he's working harder than ever. Over the following weeks, a secret routine emerges. After official practice ends each day and the other players head home, Jake and Nate stay behind. Often, it's just them under the orange glow of sunset or beneath the buzz of field lights at dusk. At first, Jake trips over tackling dummies and stumbles on his rotes. It's far from graceful. But each time he gets back up, dusts himself off, and tries again. Nate uses creative methods to sharpen Jake's instincts. He hangs a small bell on the goalpost crossbar so it jingles softly in the breeze, giving Jake a target sound to run toward. He calls out clear, steady cues as Jake practices carrying the ball. 10 yards straight, cut left now, 3 more yards, end zone. Jake treats each practice like it's a real game, pushing himself a little further every day. Gradually, Jake grows more confident. His steps become surer, his reactions quicker. He begins to see the field in his mind, counting his strides, sensing open space by the echoes of his footfalls and Nate's voice. One evening, Nate decides to test Jake's progress. They set up a mock play. Nate will hand the ball to Jake and then act as a defender trying to reach him with a padded blocking shield. Under the glow of a lone floodlight, Jake takes the handoff cleanly. Nate charges with heavy steps. Jake listens, heart pounding, and hears Nate's shoes slashing through the grass to his right. Instinct kicks in. Jake plants his foot and pivots hard left, evading Nate's lunge. Then he turns upfield, pumping his legs. "Go, Jake, go!" Nate hollers, excitement surging in his voice. Jake barrels forward toward the faint jingle of that little bell on the goalpost and crosses the makeshift goal line, breathing hard but exhilarated. Nate breaks into a grin and jogs over, clapping Jake on the shoulder in triumph. "You did it!" he laughs. Jake stands there, realization dawning that he managed to avoid a tackle purely by sound and timing. A wide smile spreads across his face, a mix of sweat and joyful tears on his cheeks. As the final game of the season approaches, Jake is a different player from the kid who was knocked down on that first day. Coach Miller still hasn't permitted him in full contact drills, but Jake has been quietly absorbing every practice, running each play in his head. And after hours, he's been turning his weakness into strength with Nate's help. His body is stronger, and his spirit is unbreakable. Even Coach Miller, who caught a glimpse of their after-hours training, felt his skepticism give way to quiet respect. He isn't sure if he'll ever get to play in a real game, but he prepares as if he will. One crisp evening after everyone else has left, Jake stands on the field imagining a crowd in the bleachers and the band playing. He can almost hear it. The cheer of fans, the thud of footfalls around him. Football tucked under his arm, he takes off in a sprint toward the end zone, listening to his own breathing and the wind. Even alone in the dark, he runs with purpose. He runs with hope. Friday night, final game of the season, the Oak Ridge High Owls versus their longtime rivals. The scoreboard reads 20-14. The Owls are down by 6 with seconds left on the clock. The home crowd is a sea of noise and nerves, stomping on the bleachers in anticipation. On the Owls' sideline, Jake stands in full uniform, helmet on, heart hammering. He'd been allowed to dress for this last game as an honorary gesture, never truly expecting to set foot on the field. But now his gloved hands flex at his sides as he listens intently to the chaos unfolding. Out on the gridiron, the Owls' offense huddles without their star running back. Brandon was helped off moments ago after a nasty twist to his ankle. Jake heard the crowd's gasp and the announcer confirming the injury. With Brandon sidelined and the final seconds melting away, Oak Ridge's hopes are fading fast. Jake turns his head toward the field, tracking sounds, the quarterback barking signals, pads colliding at the line, the rumble of desperate cheers. His mother is somewhere in those bleachers. He imagines her holding her breath. Everyone here is praying for a miracle. The Owls drive the ball to the opponent's 5-yard line, but now it's 4th down, goal to go. Coach Miller calls their final timeout. The offense races to the sideline, players panting and wide-eyed. Jake inches closer, straining to listen over the stadium din. Coach Miller fights to keep his voice calm. "All right, we need a touchdown. One play. Suggestions?" Quarterback Landon gulps air and wipes sweat from his brow. "Coach, maybe a quick slant pass?" An assistant coach grimaces. "Their DBs are all over our receivers. Too risky." A tense silence falls. The opposing defense stands ready on the field, and the hometown crowd's chants falter into an uneasy buzz. Suddenly, Nate steps forward among the players and coaches. "Coach," he says loudly, "we do have another running back." For a moment, no one understands. Then all eyes turn to Nate, then follow his gaze to where Jake stands just outside the circle. Jake's pulse skips as he realizes Nate means him. A few players exchange startled looks. Landon blinks. "Jake?" he mumbles in disbelief. An assistant coach's mouth falls open. "Nate, this isn't the time for jokes." "It's not a joke," Nate interjects, eyes fierce. "Jake's been practicing harder than anyone. He can do this. 3 yards, I believe it." Jake's breath catches. He takes a step into the group, the night air cool on his sweaty face inside the helmet. Coach Miller's gaze lands on Jake. The coach clears his throat, unsure. "Jake, we have 1 play left. We need 3 yards for the score. Can you get us there?" A calm determination settles over Jake. "Yes, coach, I can do it." He says it without hesitation. A few players exchange astonished looks at the certainty in his tone. Landon places a hand on Jake's shoulder pad and squeezes. "Let's do this then," the quarterback says, trying to sound upbeat. One of the linemen lets out a whoop. They won't see this coming, that's for sure. A ripple of determination moves through the huddle. The coach exhales slowly and nods. "All right, we're doing this." He points a finger at Jake's chest. "Hold on to that ball, understand?" Both arms around it. Jake nods sharply. "Yes, sir." He doesn't need eyesight to feel the weight of this moment. It's here, the chance he's been waiting and working for. Nate is beside him in the huddle and leans in. "Just like practice. I'm right in front of you on this." Jake gives a quick, determined grin that only Nate can see up close. Landon calls the play. 22, dive on 1. Incredulous smiles flash among some players. The same play that failed disastrously in practice months ago. This time, though, Jake is ready. They break the huddle and jog to the line of scrimmage. As Jake trots out with the offense, a hush falls over segments of the crowd, confused by the lineup change. In the stands, his mother's heart races as she realizes her son is actually in the formation, helmet gleaming under the lights. People begin to point and murmur when they notice number 21, the boy who had never played a down, lining up in the backfield. Jake plants himself behind Landon in the formation. The turf feels solid beneath his cleats. The crisp night air seeps through his jersey. He tunes out the crowd's buzz and focuses every fiber of his being on what's ahead. Across the line of scrimmage, defenders shuffle and adjust. He hears a murmur of disbelief from across the line. Is that kid blind? He crouches lower, ready to explode forward the instant the ball is snapped. In that heartbeat, his father's old words echo in his mind. Never let anyone tell you what you can't do, but what do you think? Did he really deserve this chance? Landon's voice echoes out strong and clear. Blue 42. Blue 42. Set. Hike. The center snaps the ball into Landon's hands. The play erupts into motion, and chaos crashes at the line. Jake takes the handoff cleanly from Landon, tucking the ball tight against his body. Nate surges ahead and delivers a crushing block at the line. Jake follows, feet pounding the turf. He hears Nate shout, "Now!" and cuts left behind the block. A defender dives at where Jake was an instant before and finds only air. Jake keeps driving forward with the end zone just yards away. He hears the heavy footfalls of another defender charging into his path and lowers his shoulder at the last second. They collide with bone-rattling force, stopping Jake's momentum just shy of the goal line. He's hit at the 1-yard line, held in place. Then, with a primal yell, Jake summons every ounce of strength and drives forward. For a moment, the defender resists, and then suddenly, Jake breaks through, stumbling and falling across the goal line with the ball clutched to his chest. He's in. Whistles blow, and the stadium explodes with joy. The crowd's roar is deafening, the loudest, most joyous sound Jake has ever heard. The school band strikes up the fight song, nearly drowned out by the crowd. He lies on his back, clutching the ball and panting, dazed. Did he do it? Somewhere above the cacophony, the announcer is shouting, "Touchdown!" But his words are lost in the eruption of cheers. Nate skids to Jake's side, tears streaming down his face. "You did it, Jake! You did it!" he shouts. Jake lets out a breathless, happy laugh, pure triumph flooding through him. Strong arms suddenly haul Jake up. It's Brandon, the injured star who hobbled over from the sideline. Brandon's face is a mix of awe and genuine respect. He grips Jake's shoulder and shouts over the noise, "You earned it!" Jake nods as tears spill down his cheeks. His teammates swarm him, jumping and hollering. Even a few opposing players clap in admiration of what they've just seen. On the sideline, Coach Miller is laughing and wiping tears from his eyes. In the stands, Jake's mother is crying and cheering, hugging everyone around her. Soon, Jake is hoisted up onto the shoulders of his teammates. He raises the football in the air, and the crowd chants his name in unison. He can't see the wave of fans standing and applauding, but he can feel their love in every thunderous cheer. Head tilted back, Jake points the ball toward the sky. "And we did it, Dad." He knows his father is watching and proud. No one who witnessed this moment will ever forget it. More than a game-winning touchdown, it truly felt like a genuine miracle come to life on that field.